Fast forward in 2015, right? Buhari did his tenure, had another term, making it 8 years, and he handed over power to the current administration. Still, your political party, the APC.
Yeah.
Would you say that the current president of the country is on the right track?
Yes, I will. Yes.
Okay.
I definitely will say that. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting that you say that. But what's your assessment of the administration so far? Life hasn't been easy for the average citizen of the country. The cost of things have gone up. Petrol, food, everything has skyrocketed in the country. But let me hear what's your assessment
Yeah.
of the
This is why I'm
administration.
saying he's definitely on the right track. That right, it might not be 100%.
Okay.
This is it. It's not far-fetched. It's not even rocket science. The three major candidates need to remind us all we're on the same page regarding this fuel subsidy removal. And then the fact that the subsidy was removed even before the next president came on board was a pointer to the fact that anyone that would have become the president of Nigeria, irrespective of the party, whether it was going to be an Atiku Abubakar or a Peter Obi, the person would have, inherited the situation we currently have or find ourselves in, except maybe you would have gone, against your own word, because if you had also agreed that subsidy should go, and unfortunately the previous administration had taken that decision for you without you having a chance to prepare for it, except you would have gone back on your own words to rescind the decision and say, oh, we have to get back to the era of subsidy and then reverse that policy. But if they were all going to stand by their words, which was that they agreed subsidy has to go, and inherited the situation a Tinubu inherited, I doubt if there would have been so much they could have done to change the dynamics right now. And the second, that's it. Fuel subsidy is a major cause of the situation Nigeria is going through. And I keep telling, I tell fellow citizens, look, most Nigerians had agreed that subsidy should go. That agreement comes with a consequence. The fact that you agree subsidy should go directly means that the cost of fuel will be high. It also directly means that will affect the cost of many other things. And so it means that this decision comes with the kind of you can't help it. It is the reality. Except maybe we didn't sit down to think about the consequence of subsidy going, because you shouldn't be acting surprised. The only difference is that it came at the point of a new administration taking over power. So it just means that this administration is the cause of the hardship. That is the direct interpretation of a typical Nigerian. But we've forgotten that this subsidy we all wanted, gone. It has to come with consequence, and this is part of it. Now, when you have that conversation with a typical Nigerian, and they'll tell you, they should have planned for it. And when the question now is, when is even the perfect time to have removed fuel subsidy? When was the perfect time? And yes, I agree that any administration that should have removed this subsidy should have planned, even if it's 6 months ahead or 1 year ahead, and prepared the minds of Nigerians. But unfortunately, the PMB administration had removed it without planning for. In fact, they removed it in such, I think it was such a crude manner. It was unfair. to whoever was going to take over power. Because if you wanted to remove it in your time, you should have planned for it maybe 2 years way ahead. So you prepare the minds of Nigerians and maybe put some things in place to caution the effects. We all knew we are all gonna have go through a hardship season, but at least we'd have put things in place way ahead. But they never did that. They just crudely removed it and handed over, an administration with no budget for subsidy to the next, government. That's the first part of it. And so, but we shouldn't be acting surprised because we all know this is a given. Yeah. The second part of it is the naira dollar rate. Okay. I think those are the two major reasons why Nigerians are having it very tough. Yeah. The naira dollar rate and the major thing that influences this is our productivity and our exports. Let's look at our productivity nationally over the years. How many indigenous companies in Nigeria have been producing and exporting products in a productive way such that the naira can stand head to head with dollar over the years? Let's look at our lifestyles. As a matter of fact, I think economically, we were pampered in a way. Most Nigerians benefited more from political funds over the years. And I think it's even in PNB's time that we saw people start to do more business. Some persons had to just start going back to agriculture and try to, but even though they struggle, Nigerians typically struggle because of power, because if you have to even produce, you need some good source of power supply. Yeah. And but even at that, people struggled, and we had recession at a point, and but how is naira going to fare well with dollar when we are not producing enough? Yeah. And also a lot of Nigerians are rather trading with dollars. In fact, the official currency of most Nigerians in this country is dollar. We are trading with dollar.
They save money also
in dollars. So tell me, when you're importing products and you have to sell them and you have to do business with, why won't we be at this stage? So when we want to make it look like it is this administration that is causing this hardship, we are not balancing it. It is, yes, true that they're the ones who took over power at the time they took over the power, and yes, they owe us a duty to at least stabilize situations. But we all know that the major reasons why we are where we are it's really, really not because of the government. Really. Except, I don't know if you have a different opinion. You might. But I like the initiative to divert a bit from fuel-based to, gas, CNG, okay. I don't know. I just hope they should try. I don't envy the government. Trust me, I don't envy the current leaders because they'll need a lot because the country was not even prepared for these times. Yeah. And so for all of the initiatives they'll have to take, that will have to make good meaning, substantial meaning. Yeah. Honestly, I don't envy the leaders because, in fact, I don't envy anyone that would have taken over power from the PNB's administration, because you're definitely, I think Sanusi said it. He said any candidate back then during the elections that will tell you that once it takes over power from PNB's administration, that everything is going to turn around for good, is lying. He's lying both to you and to himself. Yeah. And so the times we are living in is not a surprise. Actually, it's a normal, natural consequence of actions that were taken before.
Yeah,
now.
but the challenge there is that so many citizens of the country are unable to afford even the basic things that they normally.
What do you think? What would you expect? Because sometimes I sit to ask myself the question: what can the government do about the current situation that I think or we think they are not doing? What would we expect them to do? What kind of action can government take, and then we'll feel an immediate, direct, positive impact or improvement?
That's the question I was about asking.
Really?
Yeah, that's the question I was about asking you.
Because I asked myself that question because it's not enough to just blame the government. I will blame. I can blame a government when it's easy to see what they can do or could have done and they're not doing. I can say, wow, this is it. But honestly, in my private capacity, I've sat to think about it. What can the government do that they are not doing?
Yeah. Well, some Nigerians, they have this opinion that the president shouldn't have removed subsidy 100% by the time he came. Okay, you have said here that he is not the person that actually removed the subsidy.
True.
It had been removed by the previous administration. Yes. And so some citizens are saying, okay, you should have gone to the Senate to ask for supplementary budgets to take care of subsidy payments. And then you take steps to remove the subsidy gradually instead of making 100% removal of the subsidy as the president did on the inauguration day. Others are saying, okay, you should have seen to the functioning of the refineries. We have 4 refineries in Nigeria, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, and another one in, I think, Kaduna, making it 4 refineries. So there are some Nigerian citizens that are saying, you should have done the fixing of these refineries to ensure that we refine crude in country before removing subsidy. I don't know if you share the same.
But it's practically what I said here. But unfortunately, like I said also, subsidy was removed 100% already before he came to meet. His words only affirmed what was done already. I think the reason why the uproar was, we didn't feel it was in the budget the first 6 months. So, but you're saying maybe you should have reversed the policy, because that's what you're saying. If the current administration had come in and then saw the fact that subsidy was already removed, and then you now want to add in a supplementary budget, it means you're going to be reversing the policy. But on the other hand, we all know here that Nigeria we were broke. In fact, we can't even afford to go on to pay for subsidy anymore. So the timing was quite unfavorable to everyone, to both the government that was taking over power and to the people. And then for you to even reverse, it means you didn't really believe in what you said. So I think it was a dicey situation for whoever was coming. The current president. Yeah. It was dicey because you verbalized it in your campaigns that subsidy needs to go. But unfortunately, the previous administration didn't leave it for you to come take that decision. So you would have planned it the way you would have, envisaged. But you didn't have a chance to plan, and it was pulled out. And for you to reverse it, for you to reverse the policy, it would mean you're going back on your words. That subsidy needed. So what would you do? So it's that he just had to go ahead and take responsibility for it. I think. He walked right into the middle of a storm.
Well, the president had taken that decision, and
you mean the current president?
Yes,
it wasn't his decisions. I don't know if the reason why Nigerians it wasn't his decision actually. Okay. I believe the PNB's administration made that decision quietly because it didn't make news, and the reason why we didn't also feel it was because it was budgeted for January to June. So, in other words, Nigerians were still buying fuel at the price they were buying the fuel. But from July to, it wasn't budgeted. So the decision was made already.
By PNB.
Yes, by PNB. So Tinubu only came. I think the reason why he made that speech, he couldn't help but make it because as you're taking over government, it was obvious that subsidy is gone, and you were not the one who removed it. So he only affirmed what was already done. He said, now that subsidy is gone. It wasn't that he said subsidy will go or that he's the one who removed. It was already removed. He only affirmed what was done already.
Well, we are here now.
We are here.
And life is not easy for the average citizen of this country.
And sorry, I tell you what, the more reason why this is very peculiar to Nigerians is because this is the first time indeed that we are buying fuel for the price, for its real price.
Okay.
Which is not a strange thing to most countries out there.
Okay.
Most countries, in fact, Ghana, I've never stayed in Ghana, but people who ask Nigerians who stay in Ghana. In fact, a friend of mine said he had to run back to Nigeria because of the cost of their fuel. So the thing is, Nigerians were not used to, we're actually pampered, we actually deserve it, because if our big men are stealing so much from public funds, the only, if this is one thing that we'll have to benefit from, I mean, we've enjoyed that over the years, but the fact that the country couldn't even afford again to pay for, fuel for us, or to subsidize for fuel for us. So this is the first time we are now paying for fuel for its real worth, like most countries are paying.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you go to some countries and then you find out that people are not flaunting wealth in terms of buy plenty cars. Nigerians could afford a lot.
Big houses.
Nigerians could afford a whole lot. And in fact, sometimes it's funny when I watch some videos made by some natives of other African countries, and they're like, they don't understand how Nigerians can be cooking in one pot of soup. All kinds of protein in just one pot of soup. You have fish, you have meat, you have you have all kinds of, you have stockfish. So it's strange for them because they're used to living life on with basic things. But Nigerians, it's either luxury or nothing for us. And even the poor understands the language of luxury. So no, but this is not in a way to disregard the fact that the poor of the poor is really feeling the heat of these times. But an average Nigerian loves good life. We love a good life, and then we love to spend money on good life. And so, which is strange to people, a lot of even African nations out there. So they sort of admire us. But I think this is the first time we've been jerked, so to say, into the reality of what others have been living. The reality, which is that the cost of fuel, if you have to buy fuel for its real cost, then it will affect many other aspects, your commodities, basic life, it will affect it. So others have been used to that lifestyle already, and somehow they just live within their means. So, but this is the first time we've been exposed to it, and we've been exposed in such, it's been a jerk, and it's not easy, because you can imagine that you're not used, this is not your lifestyle we're used to, but somehow it's difficult, I agree. And I think we are doing a great job even adjusting to it. But where I have a concern, if you ask me, is seeing our political leaders carry out a practical, visible adjustment too. Because if the leaders are adjusting, it sort of gives you a bit of comfort that, okay, it's starting from the top, that it's affecting them too, and so everybody should adjust, and so it's not only me. You find some comfort in that. But when the opposite is the case, that's where I have issues.
But do you think it is? Are we going to continue like this? What's your suggestion?
What is really your main issue? Your main issue is that we are not living lives as large as we used to. I understand. In fact, my major source of concern goes to the poorest of the poor that may not even. But come to think of it, the people in the villages and the people you even think are the poorest of the poor are used to exchanging value for. Exchange. For example, you go to the village. A typical villager has some plantations of mango, oranges, plantain, pears. One pear, avocado pear. I buy avocado pear now for 1,000 naira and above. One. If a typical villager has that in his backyard and sells that, I don't know, compared to a civil servant out here, he's far richer. He's far richer. His vegetables is within, access. He has access to his veggies. He has his basic meal. In fact, he's living life ordinarily the way he used to. There's really no much change, within his locality. And then the prices of fruit in his backyard has more value. So if he used to sell avocado pears, maybe 5 for 1,000, and he's now selling 1 for 1,000, that tells a lot. That the typical villager out there is richer than the man in the urban area. So when you're even about to feel you want to call that person the poorest of the poor, so the people having it real hard, I think, are the civil servants, because now they're buying more with the smallest value. They're buying more with the smallest resources. They have to pay for more. So people who have things to sell, they of course are adding automatically the cost of the things they're selling is higher. So their earning power is higher, even though they have to spend some extent, spend more. But the civil servants, your money, except I don't know when they'll start implementing the increments in
minimum wage increment.
Minimum wage.